Welcome to this episode of Cooking with the Kid. We're not going to waste any time with introductions because we're going to jump right into it. We're going to jump right into our Southern series. What you'll see is a couple of main dishes, a couple of full meals, and last but not least, some awesome desserts. So stick with me as I take you for a journey through the South. Now, let's take a look at our ingredients. We're going to be using 1.5 pounds of ground sirloin, 2 eggs, 1.5 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 1 tablespoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of pepper, 2 cups of flour divided, 1.5 cups of milk, and 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. Now, let's go ahead and construct our steaks. A lot of recipes out there call for cube steaks, but if you're ever in a position where you can't find a cube steak, go ahead and use the ground sirloin that we're using today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually quarter these units, or quarter my steak here. And after I quarter them, I'm going to make patties. And as you can see, I put down some plastic wrap, because what we're going to do is we're going to make these patties and we're going to beat them down, because cube steaks, believe it or not, is just mechanically pressed steaks to make them really thin into something that you also can be called minute steaks. But we'll be doing that, and stick with me.
So let me redeem on myself tonight. 'Cause I just need one more shot, second chances. Yeah, is it too late now to say sorry? 'Cause I'm missing more than just your body. Oh, is it too late now to say sorry? Yeah, I know all that I let you down. Is it too late to say sorry now?
Our next step is to get our coating together as well as our wash. I say it's our wash because it's going to be an egg wash today. So you're going to take all your flour with the exception of 3 tablespoons, pour it in a bowl. We're going to add the garlic powder, cayenne pepper. Make sure you get all your cayenne pepper, and 2 to 3, I'm going to do 3 pinches of that tablespoon of salt that we had. We're going to whisk that all together, and after we begin to whisk, we're going to go ahead and add a pinch of that black pepper. Just a pinch. Now let's make it 2 pinches of black pepper, so you can see those flakes in there. And you're going to pour this into a dish. Because that's going to be our flour coating. Okay, then you're going to take those 2 eggs, treat them just like any other scrambled eggs, but we're not going to scramble these hard. We're just going to do a quick coating, a quick scramble on them. So just to mix them up, break the yolks. Simple that way. We're going to add this guy to this container here. Now, as you can see, I don't cover all of the bottom. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit of milk to that so I can cover the bottom, and we'll be all set to go. So before we get started today, what we're gonna do is gonna make sure we get some vegetable oil or canola oil. And what I like to do is actually fill the pan to about a quarter of an inch all the way around, and we'll get this started on a low heat as we prepare our steaks. These together, and as you can see, I've got my patties nice and flat here, and what we're going to do is we're going to take these guys out, take this guy out here. I'm going to put it right there in the flour. We're going to make sure that we cover it and coat it really nice though, just like such, before we go into the egg wash. Okay, we're going to now transfer this guy over to the egg wash. Put both sides, being really careful with it. Okay, then we're going to move this back to our flour mixture. You can get kind of gooey, but that's okay. Gooey is good. Alright, make sure you get it covered nice and thick here, because we're going to want to make sure that we get a nice good crust on our steaks. Okay, now I got about 3 more of these to do, so I'm not going to make you watch this, but I think you get the idea. We'll get all those patted up, then we'll move over to the grease. Grease, and what I do is I take a little bit of flour, throw that flour in there, and you can see that the flour is, yep, it's boiling really good. But what we'll do here is I'm going to take, I have a fish spatula to be able to get underneath my steak, and I'm just going to slide that steak right into the grease here. Okay, with it going on the grease, I'm going to go ahead and throw a little bit of that grease over the top right away here. Okay, and we're going to cook that until it's golden brown. We're going to flip it a little bit here. Now, quick tip, since I can't do them all at once, I'm going to go ahead and heat up my oven to about 170 degrees. That way I can keep it warm until I finish the process. So we'll get these going here and do a couple for you so you can see them, then be good to go.
So let me redeem on myself tonight.
So as this last one finishes up, what we're going to do here is remove it, let our grease cool just a little bit. Okay, now we're not going to get rid of all of our oil because we're going to use this to make our country gravy. We're going to get rid of most of it and keep about 3 tablespoons. So let's go ahead and get this guy taken care of. And we're going to let that oil cool down a little bit. Then we'll get back and finish that gravy. So I didn't wait for it to completely cool off, but what I did is I went ahead and strained that grease, and I'm going to go ahead and add that 3 tablespoons right into my skillet here. Okay, and heat that back up here. Okay, remember earlier, I'm just going to add actually another about a half a tablespoon. Remember earlier when we had our flour broken up to the 2 cups, separating it with the 3 tablespoons left over. Well, I'll show you what we're going to do with this here. Just going to go ahead and add that right into the skillet. Stir it up really good here, because we're going to make a roux with it. Turn my heat way down. But with my roux, I'm going to go ahead and add that milk. And slowly stir that milk in there. We're going to stir that until it gets a chocolate milky look to it. Like chocolate milk almost. Go ahead and put all that milk in there. Okay. Got that in there. Let that thicken up just a smidge before we put that 1/4 cup of whipping cream in there. As that thickens up, that 1/4 cup, I've already got it measured out, guys, just so you know. There's that 1/4 cup. We'll bring that back to a boil. Let it thicken up. We'll add our salt and pepper. Turn that heat back up so we can bring it up to a boil a little bit quicker here. Constantly stirring it because we want to make sure we get it thickened and break that roux up that's sitting in there. Those flour pieces. Okay, we're gonna add a pepper. Okay, I'm not gonna go ahead and put that full tablespoon in there, the rest of that tablespoon. Then we're gonna also add that salt. The salt, we're gonna add the remainder of the tablespoon. Or maybe not, go to taste for you, okay? But we're gonna let this cook, thicken up a little bit, and then you'll have your country gravy.